Hello and welcome to this episode of the Be Free podcast. And today I have the lovely Pammy from Seasoul Mindfulness, and we were just having a little chat before we hit record, and we decided we're just going to hit record now because we feel that you could benefit from our our incredible chat and banter. But no, we were just discussing there. So Pammy and I have never met in person at all. We connected through Instagram, and I was just hearing just now how Pammy kind of found me. So do you want to
Hunted you
share
down.
just like how we connected? Yeah. So do you want to say just how we connected, Pammy?
Sorry, I didn't hear that. So, yes, so when I started my mindfulness and meditation business, I was kind of just looking for some resources on meditation scripts or kind of journaling prompts and things like that. And I came across your book on Amazon. I bought it. I loved it. I have used it in my meditation classes. And then because I love the journey it took me on and with the clients in my class, I then found you on Instagram and started following you. And yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah. I do. I think it's so cool. Like we were discussing social media before we hit record as well. And it can be used in such an incredible way. And we were discussing, Instagram and how we love that. Like you can pick who you follow and who lights you up and things that inspire you. And yeah, I love using it in that way of showing people, like getting people to see what's possible, but not in a kind of, oh God, I wish my life was like them kind of way,
Yeah,
it's just
yeah,
like I think when we're like if you live in a small community or even in a big city, you can feel quite isolated and maybe don't have your type of people around you. So it's quite a nice way to connect with people that are on the same wavelength and stuff as well, isn't it?
yeah. And I think it's really nice to kind of connect with authentic people as well, isn't it?
Mhm.
I mean, there's so many people that sadly just kind of portray, thinking, or people just follow them thinking, oh, that's what their life is like. But when it's
Yeah.
authentic and coming from a place of, mindfulness and gratitude and, just living your best life, then it kind of really resonates, doesn't it? And that's why I like following people that I resonate with and hoping people follow me for the same reasons.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important to use it for the right reasons, isn't it?
Definitely. Absolutely. Yeah. No, I love that. And yeah, there's always an unfollow button, people. If there's people you don't like, remember you can do that. You don't have to
I
look at stuff
actually
you don't like.
recommend that you do that regularly anyway, just to think, why are people following me that I haven't spoken to in years? We have nothing in common. Because it's not always about how many people you have following you, it's about having the right people, isn't it?
Yeah. And kind of, yeah, like more, like, yeah, more deep and meaningful connection, I think is so important as opposed to just,
Absolutely.
yeah, putting stuff out there for the sake of putting stuff out there.
Yeah.
So,
Sharing every
um,
meal. Yeah.
cool. So do you want to do a little intro to who you are?
Yes, so my name is Pammy. My business is called Seasoul Mindfulness, which only started in December of this year. So it's a little baby of mine, about 6 months. Um,
Amazing.
yeah, so my background is nursing. So I've been a nurse for 18 years and I traveled the world about 7 years ago, and there was kind of a lot more opportunity to kind of grasp and be more present and be more mindful, kind of trying to live a more aligned life.
Hmm.
So that's where I kind of really got into yoga and meditation and mindfulness. Um, but the reason I started my own business is because I became quite overwhelmed and quite had a lot of anxiety during the pandemic.
Hmm.
So I've got 4-year-old twins, and when they were 10 months old, I went back from my maternity leave back to work,
Yeah.
which is when the pandemic first hit. So there was kind of a lot of pressure, and it was quite overwhelming anyway to go back as a new mum and
Yeah, I
leaving
bet.
children at home. And I just think that kind of environment where everyone is very pressured, everyone is overwhelmed, they're trying to do their best, but they're kind of running on empty.
Hmm.
And it's quite a negative, toxic environment.
Yeah.
And it had a massive impact on my health, on my well-being, on my emotional health, my mental health. And I suffered massively with anxiety. I just could not cope. And then I actually became quite unwell with an overactive thyroid.
Mm.
Um, and then I really had to stop and think, what is happening here? My body is screaming at me that I need to slow down. I need to stop. I need to prioritize my health and well-being for myself and for my children.
Yeah.
So I kind of made the decision to leave nursing, which was quite a difficult thing to do because it's something
A
I've
long
always loved
time.
and
It's like kind
enjoyed.
of, yeah, a
Yeah.
long period of time.
And but I thought if I don't do it now, my health is just going to deteriorate, and certainly my mental health and the anxiety and the overwhelm was just so unbearable. So I kind of looked into mindfulness and meditation practices. I studied with the British Mindfulness Institute to do my stress reduction teaching course.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just started going for it. I just started sharing on my social media, on Instagram and Facebook, and with my friends, just saying, this is my journey. This is what I'm learning. These are practices that have helped me. And slowly it's kind of just evolved that it's kind of aimed more at mums that are kind of feeling quite burnt out and having that overwhelm. But it's also aimed at men, women that don't have children, because anxiety grabs everybody in
Yeah.
lots of different places. So I've just kind of gone with the thought of, I know that this has benefited me and I now want to go and share that with other people, because I think, because I had that sense from wanting to help people when I was a nurse,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, why can't I teach this? Why can't I guide other people to kind of live a life that, does have more meaning, where they can be more present, where they can be more mindful? And like we were just saying, it's built into my daily life.
Yeah.
So I do this daily to create that space for myself to get grounded, to the gratitude and grounding my energy and just walking out in nature and just kind of appreciating the life that I currently have. So yeah, it's been incredible. So it's only 6 months in the making, but
Yay! Well done. Well done. No, I
you
think
were a big inspiration for me. So I thought kind of this is, because a lot of people don't fully understand mindfulness, do they? When you say, oh, I'm a mindfulness and meditation teacher, they're kind of like, but what is mindfulness? Kind of what does that mean? And it's kind of I think it's very difficult for a lot of people to slow down, to
Mm.
break away from kind of that high anxiety function that we kind of all have, and that kind
Yeah.
of fight, flight, and freeze mode.
Especially post-pandemic as well. I think everybody's kind of crashing now. Everybody's been
Yeah,
in fight or flight and adrenaline, since that period. And now it just seems like it's beginning to kind of hit everybody and show up. I don't know if you see that in your own clients, that things are
absolutely.
coming up now because we're beginning to kind of process it all, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that's because it was on such a global scale. I don't think people really fully did process it. It was just
Hmm.
kind of like we were kind of all hidden away. And that's why I think so many people are craving that connection now, aren't they? That sense of
Yeah.
community and belonging, because a lot of people are isolated.
Hmm.
Um, or like you say, some people can be in a really crowded, busy environment, but feel so alone because they're
Yeah.
not sharing with how they feel. So my hope is to promote this and get this kind of in schools, in the NHS, to kind of make health and well-being a priority, to make mindfulness and ways to kind of help relieve people's anxiety a priority, not
Yeah.
just an afterthought, rather than thinking, because people obviously dwell on this and, you know, there's
Hmm.
obviously different coping strategies and whatnot, and just so many people just don't know it's out there. So that's my bigger goal anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a great, great, great goal to have. And yeah, I think it's always good teaching what you know, teaching from experience, adding that depth and understanding and empathy to your clients, I think is so important when you're working with anyone, if you're working with any kind of coach or teacher or guide, to know that they have lived experience as well, just makes
Yeah,
it I think it's a lot more inspiring and hopeful. I know when I pick teachers or coaches or guides, I tend to go for people that have been through it and come out the other side, because you're like, oh yeah, I know it's possible for me too. If they've done it, then
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
can do it. And from your meditation and mindfulness training, what do you think? What did that experience teach you?
It was really, I found it very insightful, because even though I kind of very subtly understood it and had kind of approached mindfulness and meditation when I was traveling, it was only when I really fully kind of embodied that practice and
Mhm.
then really kind of understood that it was the consistency. It's
Yeah,
not just you can just do it once and then everything is okay. It's the discipline, it's the kind of the confidence and the consistency in your practice. Um, and I think it opened up my eyes to the studies that they've actually done with mindfulness on people's brains, that
hmm,
it actually on a cellular level, it's changing your DNA. Your life literally needs happiness and joy to thrive.
yeah,
And I think we've just kind of been surrounded by so much negative, toxic things in the media and kind of just in life in general. And
yeah,
yes, life can be hard, but that's not all life is about. So
absolutely.
that's what blew my mind, because coming from a nursing background, we need evidence to everything, don't we?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, but what does this actually show? So that's where it kind of gave me that confidence and that kind of knowledge, is that it has lots of studies have actually shown the benefits of this to people. It's
Hmm,
not just it makes you feel better, it
hmm.
actually improves your health and well-being. And that for me is a big thing. It's really important that, so I've kind of got that kind of health aspect from it as well, kind of knowing that.
I love that. I think there's two types of like clients or people as well. Some who will go with the flow because it feels good and it makes them feel good, and some who will require evidence to be like,
Yes.
okay, this is like the science. And I love that. I do love blending the two as well. I think as human beings, we kind of crave that, like, but why? Why
Yeah.
is it working? It doesn't matter that people have practiced it for thousands of years and, lived healthy, mindful lives. It's yeah, but,
Absolutely,
um,
absolutely.
so yeah.
It's very empowering, isn't it, to to be part of that process, but also then to kind of go and help other people that, and it's such a simple thing to do. It's
Mhm.
not difficult. It might be quite challenging, because a lot of it is you have to kind of slow down and be present with yourself, which some people might find difficult.
Yeah,
um, but once you kind of get past that and you can kind of feel that inner peace and that inner knowing, it's quite a beautiful experience, isn't it, to just kind of
absolutely.
be on your own and be still
Hmm.
without worrying about everything that's kind of going through your mind. So
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I had that exact conversation in meditation class last night, actually, about the struggles that some people face with meditation typically are because, well, twofold, like you've mentioned there, that, it's people find it hard to be with themselves,
yeah,
right? Because a lot of people don't like themselves. They haven't been taught to like themselves. They've been taught that there's always something wrong with them. There's always something to improve. There's always something to change. When actually, you know, the goal of mindfulness is just to be with self and to be authentic and to be in that moment. You don't have to change it. It's it as it
yeah,
is.
yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, and I guess the second one that we were discussing last night was because somebody was getting uncomfortable with their hands and doing this. And I'm like, it's purely the ego monkey mind. You're so used to being at this high level of stress that your body's doing everything to stop you from dropping into this space of
Yeah.
safety and peace, because it doesn't feel safe because it's not what you know, but
Mm.
it's actually safe. So it's like total, like, that reprogramming of the brain, isn't it, to allow yourself to drop into that quiet space.
Absolutely. And I think with one of my coaching programs with mums that are kind of feeling that loss of self, it's very
Mhm,
much about kind of rediscovering parts of who they are. And a lot of that is about self-love and self-acceptance,
mhm.
and acknowledging and accepting the parts of us when we do get angry, when we do kind of get anxious. It's about loving and accepting all parts of us, rather than thinking, I don't like that, that part of me. But it is, because we are programmed from, under the age of 7, I think, is when we grab most of our belief systems, isn't it? So it's a beautiful experience to have, but I think a lot of people have resistance to it because, like you say, they can't quite slow down and drop into the moment, because we're trained that behavior and that habit to constantly, I've got a million things going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So from the clients that reach out to you, what would you say is the main thing? Is it anxiety that people are experiencing, or what is it?
It's anxiety, it's the overwhelm, it's not being able to cope, it's not really feeling that they've got anybody that can understand, that they can't really cope. A lot of mums come to me that have new babies, kind of because they feel that pressure of, I should be really happy, I have a brand new baby, but
Yeah.
why am I feeling like this? So it's varied. I mean, I mostly aim at women, and particularly mums or twin mums, but I do have some men that approach me to say that they obviously suffer from anxiety and mental health as well. So obviously mindfulness and meditation is for everybody.
Yeah.
But mostly it's anxiety. It's kind of getting out of their own negative thought processes and the headspace and the kind of the chaos of the life that they feel that they're in. Um, so yeah, that's kind of why they come to me for some help and support.
Yeah. Amazing. And I wondered if there's anything that you could maybe share today with anybody who's listening or watching that might support them, from a mindfulness or meditation or whatever point of view, something that you feel, that a tool that you might support people with.
Yeah, so the first thing I teach everybody, and it's such a simple thing, and it kind of brings you back to self. It's your breath, because your breath is your anchor. So I always encourage people, even when they're kind of feeling that really highly anxious state, if they can just kind of connect to the rhythm of their breath and not kind of think or focus too much on their, just allowing the emotion to kind of flow through them. So I just encourage people to kind of, they can either close down their eyes or wherever they are, just kind of take in a big inhale, hold their breath.
Gonna do it with you.
So close your eyes and take in a nice big deep full breath. Hold at the top of the breath. And then release. And it kind of just allows that space to kind of get you to really connect to your breath, kind of the rhythm. And it really slows you down. And it can kind of, if you're kind of feeling that you're at boiling point or feeling that you need to cry, it just allows that emotion to kind of pass through you. And it's also really encouraging to remind people that we have a million thoughts going through our head, but we often forget that the breath just kind of really gets you back to connect back to your physical body. Because so often, how often do we realize that we're breathing? It's to kind of such a kind of an automatic response, isn't it?
Yeah,
So when
unless
people
people are
go,
panicking,
you're
right?
just
So
telling me to breathe, and when you
yeah,
panic, your heart rate, your heart
yeah.
goes
So you
up,
only
your
really
breathing
notice
goes
it
up.
if
So you
you're
just need to
not
slow
breathing,
down that
or
process. Yeah.
or you're breathing so quickly, you're hyperventilating. Yeah, you're like, oh my gosh, I've got no breath, I'm not breathing. Have I got a pulse? Or yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's when panic sets in. So if you're in the middle of a panic attack or an anxiety attack, you normally kind of get more panicked and more anxious because your breathing is going faster and you can feel your heart rate speeding up. So it's really good and really important to kind of just connect back to your breath and get that kind of rhythm. What I do for people, if they need to focus, is kind of give them the hand to kind of draw around their finger so they can focus on something. And then as they're drawing around their hand, they're inhaling, resting at the top, and then exhaling. And then by the time they've got through their whole hand, their breath have slowed down and they should feel a little bit more relaxed. But that's generally the first thing I teach people, because I think that's quite an important one to learn, isn't it? To get back to such a simple thing as just your breathing.
And
But
definitely, I think by doing that, and it just simply makes you pause, right?
yes.
It brings you back into the present moment. So as you say, whatever chaos is ensuing around you, or however you're feeling, it gives you that moment just to pause and pull you back into your body and just, be that observer self as opposed to in the thick of it. swimming, doggy paddling frantically as opposed to just lying and being.
I'm drowning. Yeah.
Yeah,
Smashing the head on a wall or something. Yeah.
exactly. Oh, and I know, like, obviously I follow you on Instagram and stuff, so I do kind of see some bits and pieces that you're up to. But what personally, obviously meditation and mindfulness has had a big impact on your life, but what other things do you use to support your physical, mental, emotional health?
So being outside, I absolutely love being by the beach. I love being in the sea, being near water. And for me, the most freeing thing is surfing. So when
Mm,
I went traveling, I was surfing, and it was kind of like a real kind of sense of joy. I don't know if it was just being in the water or just kind of the thrill of kind of riding the waves, but
yeah,
that's something that I always try to kind of implement more into my life, kind of anywhere near the beach, being near water. Um, and it's lovely to incorporate that as well, because when you're in the water or you're on a surfboard, you can kind of, certainly at sunrise or sunset, just kind of take that gratitude and that blessing. And mindful prayer I do quite a lot of, just kind
mm,
of openly just saying thank you for everything that I have in my life. And as
yeah,
I walk on the beach, I ground my energy, so I'm in the sand, which you can also do on wet grass or on soil.
mm,
um, Journaling, I like to write down my thought processes, and listening to podcasts or music, just anything that kind of lights me up and kind of lights up my soul, rather than listening to 24 hours of the news, which kind of is
yeah,
quite a negative. Yeah.
yeah.
I want to remove that and bring in more goodness. That's kind of what I try to do.
I think all those things are, like, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, so nourishing, aren't they?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's free.
Mhm.
You don't have to pay to go to the beach or go into the water. So
Absolutely.
it's yeah, it's really lovely.
Yeah. And, just kind of thinking back of everything that you've mentioned, how different would you say your life is now from when you were nursing to now?
Massively, massively. And even though I've only been teaching this for 6 months, I think because I've been implementing it more into my daily life, so it doesn't take away when I sometimes still get overwhelmed or sometimes get anxious, but I now know ways to ground myself. I now know ways to regulate my nervous system. So when I do feel overwhelmed or I'm kind of in a heightened state of anxiety, which is normally around the twins, I
Yeah.
tap or I breathe.
Hmm.
Um, I'm no longer on medication for anxiety. I'm no longer on medication for my thyroid. So this
Amazing.
has been a real declaration and confirmation that what I'm actually doing is benefiting my health,
Yeah.
because I no longer need to have medication. Um, how long that will last? Hopefully forever. They can use me in a study.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's had a massive impact on me, and I'm also seeing the impact that's having on my family, my husband,
Mhm.
within our marriage, with my children, because they quite often go, "Mummy, what are you doing?" If I'm sitting there meditating, and
Yeah.
I, even though I like to do it on my own and practice on my own, apart from when I'm teaching, I do like to share it with the twins. So we kind of do
Mhm.
mindful walks in the morning when they go to preschool, and they have mindfulness sessions in nursery, which is really lovely.
Lovely.
Um, yeah, it's had a really big positive impact on me, and even just thinking of it, it just kind of brings a smile to my
Yeah,
face.
you can see that in you
I
can see
just
that
feel
in your
so
face.
light and so free, and I don't feel
Mhm.
like I have the weight of the world on me. So um it's definitely the right decision. I definitely did make the best choice for myself and my health. um and hopefully I can incorporate what I've learned from nursing and the skills and the knowledge that I have to kind of, you know maybe path a new way of doing different things for people, because
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Awesome. So if people are listening today and they want to connect with you, what's the best way, or what do you have coming up? Do you want to share how people can join you or experience some
Yeah,
time?
so I'm on Instagram. So my Instagram handle is C_soul mindfulness. I have a website where people can book courses and classes with me. I do meditation and mindfulness Zoom classes each Friday evening. I'm in the middle of a 6-week signature program, which actually ends this week, but I'm going to redo that again in August.
Amazing.
And I just want to share this with as many people as possible. So, yeah, did you want me to give my website address?
Yeah, cool.
So
I'll
you can
pop
add that
everything
in.
underneath. If anybody's just listening and wants to go check it out, yeah, that'd be
So it's
cool.
www.seasoulmeditation.com.
Perfect. Amazing. So I will pop all of Pammy's details underneath so you can go connect with her, give it a follow, like get to see some of her wisdom that she shares, insights and things on Instagram. Very inspiring, uplifting. So I think we need more of that in the world for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know, is there anything else you want to add before we jump off our conversation?
I think the only thing I want to say is because I have seen this collectively, and you probably have as well, is like you were saying, so many people doubt themselves.
Mhm.
So many people don't kind of have that confidence or that courage within themselves to say that I am enough. But
Mhm.
it's really important to share and for people to really connect with that part of themselves, because you are on the journey with yourself for the rest of your life. So it's really important that you kind of build that relationship. Um, but yeah, it's sad that so many people feel that way. So, with both of us and sharing with this and guiding other people, hopefully we
Yeah.
can raise that kind of
Mhm.
that
I
vibration in
think
a
there's
more positive
always a
way.
deeper, like a deeper, further, recognition of loving ourselves, as well. I was speaking about this to a friend the other day. So we're actually chatting about podcast questions, and and it was one of these ones, around kind of like, well, who are you? Like, who is Pammy without all the titles and all these kind of things? And I said, it's really funny you saying that to me as a podcast question, because like that is literally what I've had to explore over the past 15 months with my own ill health, because I had to stop everything. I didn't feel like I was a mum anymore because I wasn't managing to drive or do like, you
Yeah.
know, all the things that defined me were suddenly taken away. And I was like, who am like
It's
who
a
am
really
I,
difficult
and do
question,
I
isn't
love
it?
this person? Like, how can I love this person that can't do all these things, or be the meditation teacher or the coach or the the mom or the wife? Like, who are you without all that? Um and that's why I'm saying the journey goes deeper and deeper and deeper, because I have learned in this 15-month period now so much compassion and love for myself. And I always thought I did show compassion and love for myself. But now I know what that really, really looks
Yeah,
like.
that's
If you
amazing,
can
isn't it?
love yourself when you are depressed or feeling low or anxious or unable to work or unable to do things, that's so powerful and so necessary, because as you said, like once we begin to love ourselves and do the work, it has this ripple effect that ripples out to your children,
Absolutely.
your family, your friends, the universe.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, sharing that waves of self-love and compassion, and also connection as well. So connecting with like-minded souls, like Pammy and I have connected, or connecting with others on the journey, so that you recognize that you are not alone. Like, you are so
Absolutely.
not alone. You only
Yes.
have to look at the stars in the sky and recognize that we're not alone. It's one
Yeah.
little dot.
Tiny little grain of sand. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I could keep chatting to you for hours and hours and hours, but we were discussing people's attention span. Actually, let's touch on that before we jump off. On attention span, we were speaking about this before we hit record, and how we both notice this real struggle for people to have the attention span to stop the scroll, to move away from social media, to not adopt the next app hype, whatever comes out, and not have to just jump on it for FOMO. Like, you know, we were discussing Threads before, and I haven't jumped on that wagon. You know, I'm not saying I never will, but right now I just want to be really present with my limited
Absolutely.
time and energy. And
You know,
like,
since when a phone is no longer just a phone, it's kind of everything, isn't it? But I try to encourage that everyone does really have a good detox, because it's so important to not, because I think all people do is they compare themselves to what they're seeing, and they're not always looking at the most positive things, and then they're kind of absorbing that and consuming that. So it's difficult for people to do, but it's very, very beneficial if you can kind of take a break from social media, TV, just disconnect from your phone, get outside, meditate, be more mindful, be more present, because you will feel massively better for it.
even just like, as you say, like just leave your phone at home when you go for a walk. I struggle with that because I love photography. I love taking pictures, and I use my phone for that. And that's like my excuse.
Because we don't have cameras anymore, do we?
Yeah.
It's just your phone. So yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, but I just want to take a photo. But no, I need to leave my phone at home.
Yeah, it's such a powerful thing to do. And again, it's that sitting with self, isn't it? You know, like not being able to distract yourself or move away. And same thing over the past 15 months, because I couldn't be on screens for any length of time either. So that was actually a real eye-opener and pretty enjoyable now, to the point where there's days now where I'm just like, just no phone. Just no phone today. Thank you very much. Airplane mode is
I'll see
on,
you
and
all
my
in a
boss will
few
be like, "I've
days.
been
Yeah.
trying to contact you," and I'm like, "Sorry." Yeah, it's good to have that space and not constant alerts.
Yes. Because a lot of it is just fear driven, isn't it? And panic. Like when the government do the whatever alarm system they've connected to people's phones. It's just, yeah. Anyway, that's another conversation, I think.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. And yeah, go follow Pammy and get some nice ocean vibes off her
Yeah,
page
thank you
as
so
well.
much for
Fellow
having me.
sea
Thank
lover.
you.
No, it's been so good. And yeah, go check out Pammy's course that she's got coming up as well. And I will look forward to speaking to you soon. Bye.